Hi, I'm Eric George.
And I'm Lindsay Mayer, and this is Where Coffee Gets Spilled, a conversational podcast where careers get human. We spill stories one cup at a time through honest, reflective, and fun conversations.
Grab your cup, relax. You're not running late. Let's just spill the beans and let the convo percolate.
Hi, Lindsay. How you doing this week?
I'm doing well. How are you, Eric?
I am finer than frog's hair, as they say. It's really
That's a new one.
It's an old timer thing around here.
Okay.
Yeah. At any rate, our guest this week is Nate Grossman. He is the founder and revenue growth strategist behind GHD Unlimited, the anti-agency for service-based founders doing $1 million to $10 million in annual revenue. He led international sales for a 125-year-old American manufacturer until the COVID-19 pandemic brought international business to a standstill, then started GHD Unlimited as a digital marketing shop. The work showed him why marketing alone kept under-delivering for businesses with no revenue system underneath it, so he rebuilt the company around diagnosis, and the V3 growth system is the result. Very cool. I'm interested in hearing about that. He works with every client himself and co-hosts the Growth Ceiling podcast with Simone Henry and is based in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Nate, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
All
Glad
right.
to have you.
So, as we do, as our tradition is now, this has become I think this might be episode 20, so I think it's official. We can call this a tradition. We ask our guests what their dreams are, their career dreams were when they were little. So what did young grasshopper Nate want to be as a boy? What did you envision yourself being when you grew up?
I think I was thinking about this when you first said it or asked it earlier, but I'm pretty sure that there is a paper somewhere from elementary school where I said I wanted to be a fireman, if I remember correctly.
All right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You also mentioned putting out some fires this morning, so
Yes.
you're not totally off the mark.
Just metaphorical fires, you know. Yeah.
You still need gears and tool, though, for those type of things.
Oh, yes. Yeah. The accoutrement for putting those out is a little more sophisticated maybe than just spraying it with water, but yeah.
For sure. Was that like an early childhood dream type of thing, like elementary school asking you what you wanted to do?
Had to have been. Yeah, it had to have been. I mean, elementary school, they ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? And, draw a picture of it. And I'm pretty sure that's what it was. I just have a vague memory of it. You know what I mean? Like, I think I'd have a hard time finding it again, but my mom probably has it somewhere.
That's so funny. Yeah, very
How
cool.
long did that go for? Like what? So
It's
elementary.
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, probably elementary. I didn't really give it much thought after that, honestly. Until I remember bringing it back up again, years and years later when I was at a working in a therapeutic wilderness program for at-risk youth, and one of the camp directors at the time had been a volunteer fireman, and I had told him at the time that, oh yeah, when I was little, I wanted to be a fireman. He's like,
I am sure that guy has heard that a million times too.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
How did that evolve as you got into high school and started thinking about college? Like, what did you start thinking about as like the guidance counselor years started to creep in?
Well, another avenue or maybe idea for a career that cropped up in the early days, elementary, was author, because I was involved with young authors. There used to be this young authors thing. I can't remember the details around it, but we had to like write a book, illustrate it and whatnot, and submit it and for a competition and all this. So I did that three times. I was like, I remember distinctly third grade. Mrs. Beery was my teacher at the time, so definitely remember doing it then. She was very encouraging. And I mean, they were weird stories, It was like derivative. One was like, I called it Nightshade. It was like a spinoff of Black Beauty.
How long were these novels?
Oh, 12 pages max, none of them made sense. It was just like the whole arc of the story. There was no such thing, I found them like years later, and I was looking back through. I was like, this is crazy. Like, what is this? But it was hilarious. I remember writing one story. It was going west in a covered wagon, and it was vaguely related to my grandmother telling me about her growing up in the Dust Bowl years in South Dakota, where they were trying to do like they had moved the whole family out there trying to do the homesteading. Homesteading Act allowed them, you could get like 1 square mile for free as long as you moved out west, right?
Interesting.
And this would have been like 30s, 40s around there, during the Dust Bowl. And so they couldn't make it hard scrabble living out there, as you can imagine. And I believe that she had, what was it? 12 siblings and 7 half siblings. So yeah, you can imagine.
Wow. So it was her family. It wasn't like she did. It was her family moved.
No,
her.
it was like, her parents had moved them out there.
All those kids.
And I believe her, was it her dad? Her dad was originally married to a woman who died in childbirth after having 7 kids, I believe is what it was.
Oh my!
Oh wow!
And then so he got remarried, and then they started having more kids, and anyways, it was.
Isn't it amazing how different life can be after just a couple of generations? Like the space between us in that life is not that long.
I know.
And when you think about how the world has changed since then, it feels like forever.
Yeah, just the technological innovations that they witnessed.
Yeah.
Starting off like my grandpa, he was a farmer, and they started off with teams of horses, because he was born in the 20s. It would have been 29, I think. But so they had teams of horses that they were dealing with for years and years before they even got, motorized tractors, and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah.
My
7-year-old, and one last thing, and then we'll move on to some more of your career story here. But my 7-year-old a couple of weeks ago asked me if there were TVs when I was a kid.
Nope.
Come on, child.
We just had fire, right? That was the caveman TV. It's like
we told stories around a fire.
Yep. Oh, wow. So so books, author.
Yeah.
Then where'd you head after all that fun stuff?
The author thing stuck with me for quite a few years. Getting into like junior high school, I was into writing poetry and stories and that kind of thing.
Cool.
And I had a English teacher in high school who was a big influence on me. And when I graduated high school, not really knowing what I was going to do in college, he encouraged me to go to college and took me actually to my college visits and that kind of thing.
Oh, cool.
So my immediate family, I was the first to graduate high school and go to college. So my dad's brother brothers. He had brothers and actually sisters who had gone to college. But my mom's side of the family, nobody went to college. So I was the first from them to go to college. So I was an English major. So that's
interesting.
And thinking again, continuing into college, even that I was going to get into writing. So I took a lot of creative writing classes and literature classes and that kind of thing, of course. And, you know, it was kind of a mixed bag, to be honest with you. But there were some classes, it was just incredibly excruciatingly boring. So it's like, what am I doing here? But some classes I really enjoyed, you know, like the ones where we were studying about the 20th century lost generation, you know, those authors. I love that kind of stuff. That was fun. The Sun Also Rises, one of my favorite books of all time. But
Ernest Hemingway.
Hemingway, one of my heroes. But anyways, you know, two things that I always say this, like two things they don't tell you, they don't put on the brochure for English majors. One, you're going to work harder than most other majors. And two, you're not going to have a job when you graduate.
I think both of those are true. Yeah.
I can't imagine a majoring. I minored and that was enough.
Yeah. So much reading and so many papers to write.
A book a week, you know. Yeah, exactly. Everything handwritten. All your quizzes are all essays handwritten. Yeah.
The little blue book, which college students, I don't think probably know the blue book anymore.
Yeah. Hardcore. Can't use AI to cheat your way out of that one.
No, AI isn't going to help you with a blue book. Nope.
And every professor had their own interpretation of what good writing was. So it was always fun bouncing around that.
Yeah. But, you know, in your favor, every professor wanted to be on how to get a good review. So there's that.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah.
So English major, what was your early career like?
Out of college, my first goal was to pay off my loans, as you can imagine and appreciate, I'm sure. But I was like, how am I going to do that, right? Not knowing what I wanted to pursue career-wise, people throughout my life had told me, hey, you should try being a teacher. I had several people telling me this throughout my life. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll look into this. But I don't want to go back to school to get my teaching license, right? Because that's another 2 years at least. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to look into this. I think that I started looking for like alternative forms of education, like education tangentials, you know what I mean? And so I struck upon AmeriCorps, which was going to, you know, check off two boxes. One, it was going to give me money that I could use to pay down my loans. After I completed a year, you get $4,500 from the government. And then two, it was working for an outdoor school. So I was going to be helping with working as an AmeriCorps Vista volunteer for nonprofit, right? Nonprofit outdoor school in Reno, Nevada area.
Oh, wow.
And it was the only outdoor school of its kind in Reno, Nevada. California is just like, you know, loathsome with outdoor schools. There's so many of them, but this was the only one in Nevada. But so I joined that one, and it was you know, splitting my time between Keep Truckee Meadows Beautiful affiliate and this outdoor school. And the point was, I was an AmeriCorps Vista volunteer, so I was trying to help the nonprofit achieve sustainability by making connections in the local neighborhood and that kind of thing. So it was my first experience working in nonprofits, and boy, oh boy, talk about fighting fires. It's like, that's all they do, you know?
So what did you teach, or what did you like?
Well, I wasn't teaching. I was actually, no, I was more like, technically my title that they gave me was development director at the time. So I was tasked with trying to find the money, right, that was going to help support, but I had no idea what I was doing. So it's like,
find the money.
I went to a couple of, like, you know, talks on, you know, how nonprofits find money, and just like it was just going. I don't know what's going on, but you're going to a new place where you have zero connections. Like, how do you start to like make those connections? And I started finding out that a lot of people had some issues with the executive director. So, in the local neighborhood, so it was doubly difficult in that case.
Yeah.
So, anyways, it was
like
rough.
School of hard knocks. There, it sounds like. You feel like you took some lessons away from that lasted in your career. Like, what were some of the silver linings?
So, two for sure things that ended up cropping up later. I built their first website and
cool.
and their first email newsletter. So, back in high school, by the way, I was the editor of our yearbook for 2 years. We won a national award, so I had already had a taste for design and that kind of stuff on digital design and whatnot. So that's kind of how I applied applied that knowledge to the nonprofit. And then, of course, like just generally speaking, how difficult it is for nonprofits, and gain a real appreciation. I met a lot of people in the nonprofit community out there, at that time. And, it's hard scrabble. People are, very passionate. It takes a lot of passion and commitment to do nonprofit work, and I think there's a bit of a soft side is, maybe that I have for that kind of thing now is, you know what I mean? Yeah. Moving forward, I have nonprofit clients now. I've worked with nonprofits since then. Have a good appreciation for where they're coming from, can relate to them, and they appreciate that, I think. So,
well, the understanding, I'm sure. And you probably build a lot of relationships too, doing the role that you did. And I know a little bit how you do that now. So like, that has to be
it was, so that was kind of my first taste. Like coming from being a college student, it's like, you got your circle of friends, you got your teachers and whatnot. Like there's no need necessarily to do community outreach. Right. And certainly we didn't study any of that in English. You know what I mean? Like it was very heads down in the book, nose in the book kind of situation. So I felt like it was a good thing though, because it got me out of that, forced myself to get out there and like meet with people, talk to them, and start to think about the world outside, like there is a bigger world out there, and start to kind of make those connections, like thinking, okay, how do you make these connections with these people, and what is motivating people in this regard, So I think there's a lot of valuable that came out of it. I wasn't successful. I won't lie. I don't think I was successful with doing a good job with keeping the with generating new contacts, I'd say. Not for lack of trying, it was just it was really tricky. But anyways, so I loved the area, by the way, but Reno is great. It's close to Lake Tahoe area and all that. So I got to do the Tahoe Rim Trail, 172 miles to hike around. Cool. It's amazing. You ever get a chance, do it. Yeah. But,
I regarding the nonprofits, I wanted to share here something that I think is interesting. I serve on an advisory council for a local nonprofit and on their fundraising committee. And one of the adages that they mention is, if you ask for money, you're going to get advice. If you ask for advice, you're going to get money. And I guess that's a thing in the nonprofit world. If you're listening and you're in the nonprofit world, I'd love to hear if you find some truth in that.
And like the nonprofit world is very like interconnected.
Yes,
it's a small world.
It relies so much on those connections. Like So you got to be nice to everyone, in other words.
Yeah. Yes.
Awesome. So nonprofit, where'd you go next? What'd you do after you decided that wasn't your gig?
Continuing on with the education theme,
Mhm.
I decided, hey, I did 2 years there in Reno, got, good chunk of money to pay off my loans. And then, moved back across the country to North Carolina for the therapeutic wilderness program that I talked about. So that was my official title there was counselor teacher. And so, it's alternative forms of education, right? And I tell everyone that was kind of like where I learned how to deal with cold calling. Like, because I've heard anything you could ever imagine, as far as like, rejections and, anything that you can imagine I've been called it. So like,
Oh no.
I've heard it all. I did that for 3.5 years so it was therapeutic wilderness program for at-risk youth. And so it was like, we got kids that were recommendations from the judicial system.
Sure.
And so like, we were like their last step before they got sent to training school, which is their first, stage into, the whole incarceration system. Basically, if you got to training school, then you were going to be in there for life.
Yeah.
In and out. And so we tried to keep them out of that by teaching them a different way was the idea, right? And so it was an interesting philosophy that they used out there. It was kind of like this mix of, oh man, there were so many different things that were brought together, like, Christianity, agape love, but then also there's like some part of Buddhism in there and mixed with like, what do they call it? When you have, people who are held hostage and they start to appreciate their
Stockholm
hostage
syndrome.
holders. Yeah, Stockholm syndrome mixed in there too. That's
Oh my gosh.
Wow. You haven't picked easy professions here.
No.
Nate. I'm like, see.
Well, and to boot on top of that, I was living outdoors 5 days a week in the
Wow.
eastern North Carolina woods, pine forest, and in the summers it gets pretty hot. Okay, and then you get chiggers. Chiggers just absolutely destroyed my ankles, and so I had constantly blisters all over my ankles. I still have scars from it. It's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
So what was harder, an English major or the camp for troubled youth?
Oh, English major.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
So what made you leave the camp? Not the chiggers, I imagine.
Totally burned out. All of it together. I was just like, I actually left on a high note. My group was very high functioning at the time.
Okay.
But it was like several different things. I just decided, group is going well. My grandma had passed away, and I was just like, it was like this sea change and psychologically, and it was like a huge chunk of me had left. You know what I mean? I don't know how to explain that, but
yeah.
And then the girl I was dating at the time, we both decided, hey, let's go to Korea. And so, okay, that sounds good. Yeah. Change of pace, change of scenery, change of lots of different things. And so, I sat down with the group. I was like, guys, I think it's time for me to move on, blah, blah, blah. They said, hey, we're going to miss you, man. Same here. And I think about those guys like at least once a week, or if not, multiple times a week. Mostly thinking how I messed up, but that's just me. But yeah. Anyways, we Yeah, it was rough though. I was really burnt out.
And then you went to
Anyway,
Korea from there?
Yeah. We went to Korea.
How long were you in Korea?
I was there for 2.5 years teaching English.
Wow.
So
okay.
a full-blown teacher at that point, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Quote
Yeah.
unquote. Yeah. And it was kind of weird because I had spent 3.5 years, with these a very different, environment situation. And so to go there, I was like, oh, I get to be in air conditioning all day. This is amazing. Just so thrilled. And then, it was, and Korean food, by the way, is amazing. But, it was at a what they called Hagwon. So it was like an after school academy. So in Korea, it's very competitive, education wise. And so they have to, after they're done going to school, they go to academies, which are where they're learning kind of like other skills. So sometimes they have like a Taekwondo academy, for example. A lot of kids go to Taekwondo because that's where it comes from. But then there's also, English academies. A lot of them, I'd say 99% of kids are going to, and this is like 3rd grade up to high school. And so I had kids that were that young up to high school, like the range of students. They weren't all together, obviously, but, I had, 3rd graders. Did I have 3rd graders? 4th, 5th, 6th graders and the high schoolers. And actually I taught adults in there too at one point. So quite the range. But it was interesting. They didn't really have any kind of grading standards. It was like basically if the parents said that their kids deserved a certain grade or should be moved up, then they did. You know what I mean? And you were constantly, there was a CCTV, closed caption TV in your classroom, so you were constantly being monitored out in the lobby.
Wow.
Wow.
Like the parents could sit out in the lobby and watch the entire class. And so at one point I was admonished by the manager for the kids laughing too much in my class. And so they were having too much fun, I guess.
How dare they?
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, but anyways, did that for 2.5 years. We were actually there during the Fukushima disaster, believe it or not.
Oh my.
Yeah. And so luckily we were like, oh, which direction are the winds, the prevailing winds here, because we don't want that blowing over us. And so they made sure that everybody was aware that the prevailing winds are west to east, luckily. And so, California maybe, but not us.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And there was also like, the North Korea had sunk one of the, cruiser, like a South Korean cruiser out in the ocean while we were there. And they had, shelled with artillery one of the islands off the West Coast while we were there. It's like, you guys, and like the Koreans were just like, we're like, hey, did you hear about this? Like, what are you talking about? No, that's just crazy uncle is what they called him. Like,
oh my gosh.
That was Kim Jong-il, like the senior. Yeah.
What a different life.
Yeah. Holy cow.
Yeah, it was wild.
So what'd you do after Korea? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say we went to the DMZ and everything. Got to see North Korea. So,
wow.
Wow.
I moved back to the U.S. after that and started working for my dad. My relationship with the gal fell apart. It didn't work out. Let's just say
you didn't say it, so she must have stayed in Korea.
that was very codependent. I'll say it's like one of those things where it's like you're in the you're forced to rely on each other.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so it just makes a very different scenario. When you come back. The pressure's off. Yeah. I guess. Anyways, So started working for my dad. Actually, he's an entrepreneur. So he had he started up his business doing selling farm parts door to door back before I was born. And so he was distributor for farm parts and whatnot. So he's had this business since 70 something, 76 maybe. So yeah, I guess this is 50 years somewhere around there, close to it, that he's been doing this. Yeah.
Wow.
But started working for him, built his website, helping out with some data entry stuff, cleaned up the stuff for doing a catalog, designed the catalog and that kind of thing for them. So I was getting back into like the design stuff, and digital and whatnot. And kind of like right when it was getting good, I got another offer from my cousin, who had been living in the Kurdish region, Kurdistan in northern Iraq, where her husband was a teacher for the American University of Iraq, Suleimania. And she said, "Hey, you want to teach in Iraq?" And I was like, Sure, why not? And so I did a round of interviews for that. Ended up getting the job, and she's like, "You got to do it now because I want you to be here in the spring when everything is green." And it's just like because you're going to be blown away. And so, sure enough, I got the job in spring. I got there just in time for everything to kind of be grown and green and amazing, just like lush. It's really, really phenomenal. You have this picture. I had this picture in my mind of Iraq, this like being windblown, burned out sand dune deserts, and in the north, it's just totally different. It's mountainous, and in the springtime, everything is lush and green and beautiful. And they have the Nowruz festival, which is like the they jump over a fire and stuff. It's hard to explain, but it's like their spring festival that they do, and the Kurdish people are very, very interesting people, but they have their own, very unique culture and way of doing things. And I learned so much about like the Middle East just being there, but that was a totally different experience from teaching in Korea, because this is actually, there's some academic standards. They started actually creating a
oh my goodness.
What do you call it? Curriculum. There was no curriculum in Korea.
How long were you in Iraq?
I was just there for a year. I got there in 2013.
Okay.
In the spring, and I left again in February 2014. So yeah, and while we were there, we went on a couple of excursions. Let's just say we were, my fellow teachers and I, my friends, we met up with a guy. I can't remember how we knew him, but he was from a village up near Mosul, and so we went and visited his village with him. We were 6 miles from Mosul, which Mosul, for those of you who don't know, is where basically ISIS came out of, right? Mm-hmm. Certainly one of the major ISIS points of conflict and whatnot. And so we tons of interesting tales from there. But so the village we visited was called oh my gosh, it had a couple of different names. Bashika was the name, Bashika, and then it was Turkish for a blackbird is the name, the direct translation. But don't ask me why. But it was right next to. So that was a Christian village, right? So there were Chaldean Christians. So interesting. You learn that there's other Christians out there at different faiths. It's very similar to Catholicism. I think it's more closely related to Catholicism than Protestantism. But anyway, right next, like, just like a couple hop, skip, and a jump away was a village that was Yazidis. Yazidis were another uh, religion, and their symbol is like the peacock. Um, they are called like devil worshippers. This is that's hard to. They're ISIS called them devil worshippers because they believe that Shaitan, which is like, Satan, blah, blah, was actually that they have a different creation story and belief in what he represented in the myths. They believe that when he rose up and rebelled against God, like that's what the other religions say, but God actually viewed that as being admirable, and so he wasn't cast out necessarily. He was given the opportunity to go to Earth, and he assumed the form of the peacock. Anyways,
Wow.
Yeah.
we went to their Mecca. Yeah, we went to their spiritual Mecca, which was yeah.
Oh.
Anyways, but crazy thing. A year, like a month after we were there in those villages, they got completely destroyed by ISIS. So we got very lucky. And anyways, it was terrible, the things they did to the people there too. Yeah. Yeah.
So you were out, and then what was next?
So after we did that for a year or whatever, I took that. I got a job offer for doing international sales. But the reason was because it was, and this was like through my cycling group that I was involved with before I left for Iraq. I had gotten involved with cycling and did RAGBRAI, which is the Register's Annual Great Bike Ride across Iowa.
Yep.
My cycling group, in that group was like the owner of the manufacturing company who I ended up working for. One of the owners, like one of the, head honchos, I guess you could say. But they said, hey, there's this job opening for international sales for the Middle East. It's like, oh, okay. So my experience living in the Middle East got me there. So that got me the interview. And so I interviewed and got the job and did that for 8 years until COVID hit and, shut everything down. Couldn't fly, couldn't go anywhere. And it's like, this is crazy. Yeah, it was. Yeah, exactly. I was traveling to Saudi a lot. That was like the major base of operations. Back in the 70s, the company had sold like hundreds of thousands of products to the region right before the oil embargo hit. But and then kind of pulled out because of the 2 Gulf Wars, makes it tricky traveling. So in the intervening time, somebody had stepped in the vacuum. And so I was tasked with getting us back into the market. So, yeah, no small feat.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah. It was rough going. It's an opaque market to begin with. The industry that I was in, and then you add on top of that, like, it's waterworks, right? So waterworks manufacturing, and so that kind of stuff, especially internationally, waterworks tends to be government run utilities, right? And so. It's government monopolies and whatnot. And in Saudi, especially, they protected all that stuff like state secrets. And so you didn't know who you were up against until the tender was being read. It's like, how do we know how to price this? But we just, instead of trying to do that, because it's, trying to change your pricing is like a race to the bottom. So we didn't bother, with that. We just kind of towed the line, kept it the same regardless. But we were constantly being undersold. A lot of Chinese manufacturers started moving in, unfortunately. For the longest time, it was the big 3, right? America, Europe, and Japan were the only ones that were allowed in. They were hard spec'd. And so that shifted while I was trying to get back in. So we were pretty much donezo from there. The whole Silk Road Initiative, I think, had something to do with this. China, the Silk Road Initiative, they've picked that back up and trying to expand throughout the Middle East and whatnot. But anyways, they it was made it difficult. It took 7 years for me to get our products approved in UAE, for example.
Wow.
Finally got them. And then a year later, I was basically told that I was being moved to domestic sales. I was like, nah, I'm good. Yeah.
So tell us about how you landed where you're at now and kind of what your work is, who are you serving, and how are you finding purpose in what you're doing?
Yeah. Well, after I left there, I was like, what am I going to do? I decided I kind of had this idea cropping up during the whole COVID thing. It's like, I can probably do some stuff online, It was like one of those things, there's like an itch in the back of your mind, not really fully formed and whatnot. But as I kept going along, started seeing stuff online about how you could start doing stuff online and working for people, building websites, for example, and that kind of thing, which I'd already had experience with. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try that out and see if I can do it. Because I know that businesses need this, right? So, but then you get out there and you realize, oh my gosh, there's a lot of people doing this. It's like, and so difficult, right? Like, how do you become the one that they choose? Especially when it comes to pricing and whatnot, and oftentimes there again, it's a race to the bottom, right? And like, you don't want to get caught into that. And so I started thinking about how can I be offering more value, to kind of increase the likelihood that they're going to help, choose me, right? And so I started looking into, okay, well, maybe I could become like a one-stop shop situation. What is that going to mean? And so got involved with offering kind of like service arbitrage, where other people are doing the work and you're doing the sales for them, essentially. And that's okay. That's all good and everything. But the problem is like quality control. You really have to find partners that you trust in that case, so that, because it's your reputation that's on the line with the client, right? And so you want to make sure that they're getting the best possible experience. But fortunately, if you're not doing the work, then it makes it difficult for you to be able to control that, especially if they're not employees, So, it's like this weird mesh of like people protecting their own reputations. You know what I mean? You got to kind of rely on people aren't going to try to damage their own reputation on purpose. It's like there's a lot of that going involved. But anyway, so I got into offering that as a service, and realized, hey, you know what? Like, it's easy to kind of like throw a website up. It's easy to kind of say, hey, I'll do some ads for you, blah, blah, blah. But ultimately, is it doing anything? Is it accomplishing anything for the business? And so that's when I started looking at, okay, you really need to have some kind of a plan behind all this. There needs to be a strategy here, And so what does that mean exactly? Started getting into, Sun Tzu's Art of War, right? Like, the idea of strategy, how important it is, right? Strategy versus execution, I guess. And then, I guess I got involved with, through networking and whatnot, and being involved in Mastermind, and really came upon the concepts of, lifecycle marketing and, rev ops and things like that. And like, oh, okay, this is some interesting stuff here. Looking at, the capacity and the ability for the business to generate revenue as a system, and how to make that more predictable. And so that's kind of where I'm at now, is working with businesses on building the three things like I think that they need to have. And this is not just me like pulling this out of thin air, by the way. These are tried and true methods that have been used by tens of thousands of businesses, throughout time. I mean, it's I'm not really reinventing the wheel here, but it's just kind of maybe putting a different spin on it. I'll say that. But it's the visibility of a business, right? Like, how do you show up for the people, the ideal people, right? The people that you actually want to show up in front of, and how do you attract that ideal individual or company or whatever it may be. And then the viability of the business. Can the business, stand on its own two legs? Do you have other systems or processes in place once that lead enters into the business that something is done with it? What happens to it then? Where does it go? And what happens to the customer experience along the way? And especially when it comes to delivering on, like they say, you better be able to deliver on the promises your marketing has made, right? So, delivery is key. You can't, you have to have a great, you can't just sign them up, take their check and then ignore them. That's not a good idea. Not a good idea. Right. Having a good onboarding process in there, really helps to kind of usher them into the experience of what it means to work with you. Then kind of like going above and beyond, surprising them is a good idea. And then how, like, if you're keeping your customers happy, that means they're going to stick around longer. So you have to do less on the front end with attracting new customers, which saves you money there and time and effort and whatnot. And there's no better customer than the one you currently have, right? As they say. So, you want to extend that customer lifetime value, which ultimately is helping to increase the value of the business, right? If you're attracting the right type of customers and you have systems and processes in place to make their experience predictable, you're going to have them stick around longer, which is going to make your business more valuable. You're going to be able to hand that business off to someone because you have all of this in place, right? Which makes it more attractive to someone who wants to buy the business, right? And so, that's kind of what I'm helping businesses with now, that kind of thing.
Cool.
Awesome.
Quite the evolution, right?
Yeah, right.
Well, you can't jump from college to that. You got to learn along the way, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. That's a lot of like bits and pieces here and there and just kind of string it together, it's pretty wild, but yeah, that's what it is. Yep.
Awesome. Well, if you could leave our listeners with one piece of advice from your career learnings, obviously you did a multitude of things and learned a lot of different things, what you didn't like and did like.
Traveled the world.
Traveled the world. What advice would you give them?
I mean, it kind of depends on what stage they're in, right? If you're just starting out, I would say definitely try many different things. I actually said this to a group of high schoolers. I was asked to come in and do like mock interviews with my high school alma mater. But I told them this, like, go out, don't be afraid to try different things. This is the era of the generalist. And so if you have, the more experience you have in different things, it shows that you have adaptability, and you're able to take on different types of challenges, things that they can just throw at you and you can handle it, and then if you are more established business, think about building predictability in your business and how you can, make your customers appreciate you all that much more so that they stick around for longer, and you have to work less to get more. So, yeah.
Very good.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us this week, Nate. Appreciate hearing your stories of globetrotting.
Yeah.
I love talking about this stuff, so
Oh yeah, it's been great to hear about
adventure.
it.
Yeah,
For sure. For those listening, thanks for joining us as well. If you enjoyed the show, please like, rate, subscribe, do all those things that they encourage you to do to help grow the channel for us. And Lindsay, we'll chat next week.
Awesome. See you next week.
Take care. Bye-bye.